There was once a king, a ruler of a great and peaceful land, who lived in a castle of white stone and tall windows that caught the morning sun. In that castle were his greatest treasures, 12 daughters, each more beautiful than the last. They slept in 12 beds, lined neatly in a grand chamber, with curtains of velvet and floors polished until they gleamed in the candlelight every night. When the moon rose, the great doors of their room were shut and locked. No one entered, no one left, and yet, when dawn came, a strange thing was always found. By the side of each bed lay a pair of shoes, worn thin, the soles frayed, the leather soft, as if they had been used for dancing the whole night through. Not once or twice, but every morning, the king could not understand it. Servants swore the princesses never left their beds. Guards kept watch outside the locked door. And still, every sunrise brought the same puzzling sight, 12 pairs of shoes, ruined as though they had crossed floors of stone and marble for hours on end. Whispers began to drift through the halls. Some said the princesses had found a secret way out. Others murmured about enchantment, that perhaps they were under a spell, dancing with unseen partners in a place no mortal could follow. The king's worry grew, and so one morning he made a proclamation that echoed through every corner of his realm. To whomever can discover the secret of my daughter's worn shoes and reveal where they go each night, I promise a great reward. He shall have his choice among them as a bride, and when my time is ended, the throne shall be his. But be warned, any who try and fail within 3 days and 3 nights shall forfeit their lives. It was a challenge wrapped in both hope and danger. Soon, the first of many young men stepped forward, some princes, some noble knights, each certain he could solve the mystery. They were welcomed into the palace, given fine rooms, and placed in a chamber near the princesses. There, they were to watch through the night and learn the truth. And yet, each morning was the same. The young men swore they had kept watch, but all had fallen into a deep, unshakable sleep before midnight. When they awoke, the princesses' shoes were again worn through, and their fate was sealed. One by one, they failed. One by one, they paid the terrible price. Still, the secret held silent, hidden, waiting for the one who could follow it to the end. The king's challenge spread far beyond his own lands. The key, it traveled through marketplaces and mountain passes, across rivers and through quiet villages, carried on the lips of merchants and travelers. Young men of courage and pride heard the tale, and each believed he might be the one to succeed where others had failed. One came on horseback, draped in silver armor that shone in the sun. Another arrived with a smile full of confidence and a bag of charms said to ward off enchantment. A third brought nothing but his keen eyes and his certainty. That cleverness alone would win the day. Each was welcomed with honor. The king himself offered them wine and feasts before the trial began. They were shown to the room just beside the princess's great chamber, its door left open, so not even the faintest sound could be missed. They were told to watch, to listen, to discover the secret before dawn. And yet, when the candles burned low and the castle sank into silence, a strange heaviness filled the air. The watchers felt their eyes grow heavy, their limbs weighted, as though the very night had drawn them down into its grasp. One by one, they drifted into a deep, dreamless sleep. And when morning came, the princesses' shoes lay by their beds, worn through once again. The punishment was swift. On the third morning of failure, each man was lead from the castle gates. The people whispered as they watched him go, knowing he would not return. It became a pattern, one brave soul after another, stepping forward, swearing the secret would be his, and vanishing into the same fate. The mystery remained unbroken, as though the castle itself guarded it, laughing softly at every attempt. And so, while the princesses smiled at court, and spoke politely to their guests. The nights went on unchanged. Shoes were ruined. Lives were lost. Okay. And somewhere, beneath all the beauty and grace, a secret waited, patient, untouched, okay, and deeper than any had guessed. Far from the castle's marble halls and glittering chandeliers, an old soldier walked, alone, along a narrow forest road. The war he had once fought was long over. The medals he had earned lay forgotten in a leather pouch at his side. A faded cloak hung from his shoulders, and a deep scar traced the line of his jaw, a mark from a battle long past. He had no home now, only the road beneath his boots and the sky above his head. And yet, something in his step was steady, as though he was still marching toward a purpose he had not yet seen. The day was quiet. Birdsong rose faintly from the trees, and the wind sighed through the branches. It was in that stillness that he noticed her, an old woman standing beside the path. She leaned on a crooked staff, her eyes bright and knowing, as if she had been waiting for him. "Where are you going, soldier?" she asked, her voice calm, but carrying easily in the quiet air. The man hesitated. "Hardly know," he admitted, with a weary smile. "I've no orders, no home. But I have heard of a king who seeks someone to discover a secret. 12 daughters, 12 pairs of worn shoes each morning. The man who solves it will have his choice among them, and the crown itself when the king is gone. It sounds like a fool's dream, but perhaps a soldier like me could try." The old woman studied him for a long moment, her eyes sharp as though she could see past the man before her and into the roads he had yet to walk. "That task is not so hard," she said at last, "but only if you heed my words. Tonight, when one of the princesses brings you a cup of wine, do not drink it. When she leaves, pretend to sleep. They will believe you are under their spell, and when the time comes, put this on." From the folds of her cloak, she drew out something strange, a garment as dark as the space between the stars, so light it seemed to drift in her hands. "This is a cloak of invisibility," she said. "Once you wear it, no eye can see you, no ear can hear you. You will be able to follow the princesses wherever they go." The soldier took it with care, feeling the strange softness of its weave. It was as if it carried the hush of midnight within it. When he looked up to thank her, the woman was already stepping back into the shadows of the trees. Her voice came one last time, faint but certain. "Remember, soldier, do not drink the wine." And with that, the road before him no longer felt empty. Evening came quietly to the castle. The last colors of daylight faded from the high windows, replaced by the warm glow of torches along the corridors. The air held the faint scent of polished wood and burning oil. And from far away came the soft murmur of music played for the court. The soldier had been given fine robes in place of his worn cloak, deep crimson and gold, heavy on his shoulders, as though meant to remind him of the honor at stake. Servants led him to the outer chamber, the very room where so many watchers before him had failed. The great door to the princess's room stood just beyond, carved with flowers and vines, its hinges gleaming in the torchlight. He sat on the edge of the bed they had prepared for him, his thoughts steady, his mind clear with the memory of the old woman's words, "Do not drink the wine." The sound of footsteps drew his gaze to the doorway. There she was, the eldest princess, tall, graceful, her gown shimmering like water under moonlight. In her hands, she carried a goblet, its silver rim catching the light. Inside, dark red wine swirled lazily, the rich scent curling through the air. "My father bids you good fortune in your task," she said with a polite smile. "This will help you through the long night." Kay, her eyes lingered on him for just a moment too long, not unkind, but with something unreadable behind. Then the soldier took the goblet, bowing his head in thanks. As she turned away, he let the liquid slip quietly between his fingers, spilling soundlessly onto the thick rug at his feet. Not a drop passed his lips. When the door closed, he lay back on the bed, his breathing slowing, his body still, a deep, even snore began to fill the chamber, a careful imitation of the enchanted sleep that had claimed all who came before him. Beyond the door, there was a moment of silence. Then the sound of light laughter. Voice, the eldest princess, again, spoke in a tone that carried amusement and certainty. This one will be no trouble either. The soldier's heart beat steady. He did not move. The game had begun. The castle lay in stillness, the kind that comes after midnight when the fires burn low and even the guards fight the weight of their eyelids. In the soldier's chamber, the steady rhythm of his sleep filled the air, rising and falling like a slow tide. On the other side of the open doorway, the 12 princesses moved carefully about their grand chamber. The eldest glanced toward him one last time, her lips curving in a knowing smile before turning to her sisters. It is time. Drawers opened. Boxes clicked free of their locks. The soft rustle of fine gowns and silk ribbons filled the air as each sister dressed in shimmering fabrics that caught the moonlight from the tall windows. Necklaces of pearls and stones like fire were clasped around pale necks, and shoes, new and perfect, were tied with graceful fingers. Only the youngest moved slowly, her brow drawn in unease. "I don't know why," she whispered, "but I feel as though someone watches us." The eldest laughed lightly, her voice like the chime of glass. "You are imagining shadows. No one has succeeded before, and no one will now." When they were ready, the eldest walked to her bed, a grand frame carved from dark wood, draped in silver-threaded curtains. She reached down and clapped her hands twice. A sound answered from deep within the floor, a low, shifting rumble. Then, with a slow, deliberate movement, the bed began to sink. The carpet beneath it folded away as a trapdoor swung open, revealing a staircase spiraling into the depths below. The air that rose from the passage was cool and faintly sweet, as though carrying the scent of another world. One by one, the princesses stepped into the darkness, the eldest leading. The youngest followed reluctantly, casting a glance over her shoulder toward the soldier's still form. In that moment, he rose soundlessly from the bed. With a practiced motion, he slipped the old woman's cloak over his shoulders and vanished from sight, invisible. He crossed the chamber and stepped onto the hidden stair, his footfall silent. The stone was cool under his boots, the air cooler still, and with each step he descended deeper into a place no stranger had ever gone. The hidden stair seemed to wind on forever, curling deeper beneath the castle as the air grew cooler and heavier. The soldier moved carefully, keeping close enough to the princesses that their soft laughter and the whisper of their silk gowns stayed within earshot, but far enough that not even the youngest could sense his presence. The stone walls gave way to something stranger. A faint silver glow began to seep into the darkness, growing brighter with each step. The air changed too, losing the stillness of underground chambers and filling instead with a light, fragrant breeze. At last, the stairs ended. The soldier stepped out into a sight so beautiful it made him pause in awe. Before him stretched a grove of tall trees, each trunk straight and smooth as polished marble. But it was the leaves that stole the breath. Each one was pure silver, thin as the edge of a blade, trembling and chiming softly as the wind passed through them. The branches shimmered under an unseen moon, casting ripples of light across the path the princesses followed. The sound of their slippers brushing the silver-strewn ground mingled with the quiet metallic music of the leaves. It was like walking through a dream where the very air seemed to hum with magic. The soldier remembered the old woman's advice. Take something from where they go, so you will have proof. He stepped to the side of the path, careful to move silently, and reached for a branch. The silver leaves were cool under his fingers, almost weightless. With a swift emotion, he broke it free, and the grove answered. A deep, ringing chime echoed out from the tree, as though the forest itself had called. An alarm. The youngest princess stopped suddenly, glancing behind her. "I heard something," she whispered, her voice edged with fear. "Something's following us. I'm sure of it." The eldest only smiled and took her hand. "You worry too much, little sister." It was nothing but the wind in the trees. Reluctantly, the youngest let herself be led forward again, and the line of princesses continued deeper into the shimmering grove. Invisible beneath his cloak, the soldier followed. The silver branch hidden beneath the folds of his garments, the path wound onward, and in the distance, another light, warmer, richer, began to glow between the trunks. And soon, the silver leaves gave way to gold. The silver forest thinned, the last shimmering leaves swaying gently in the wind before falling away to reveal the next marvel. It began with a faint warmth in the air, a golden light spilling through the trunks ahead. The soldier followed the princesses into another grove, this one bathed in the glow of a never-setting sun. Here, the trees rose taller still, their bark deep and strong, but every leaf was pure gold. They caught the light in their delicate folds, sending beams of warm brilliance dancing across the path. The air was richer here, as though each breath carried a whisper of the sun's own heat. The princesses did not slow. Tia, their slippers brushed softly over the golden carpet of fallen leaves. The eldest led with a light step, her eyes fixed ahead, but the youngest lagged again, glancing behind her more than once. The soldier, hidden by the cloak, moved to the edge of the path and reached for another token. The gold leaf felt heavier than the silver branch, warm against his fingertips. When he broke it free, a deep tone rang through the grove, lower, slower, and more resonant than the silver chime before. It seemed to vibrate in the very air. The youngest princess stopped sharply. "There, did you hear it? That wasn't the wind." Her voice was tight now, her fear plain. The eldest gave a gentle laugh, though there was a hint of impatience in it. "Silly thing, it's the princes. They call for us when we are near. We've walked this path so many times, have you forgotten?" The younger girl said nothing more, but the unease in her eyes lingered as they pressed on. The golden glow began to fade, replaced by a cooler, whiter light ahead. The soldier stepped quietly, his breath steady, till the golden branches gave way to something even rarer. The third grove was a place of impossible beauty. Every tree glittered with leaves cut like gemstones, each one a perfect diamond, catching and splitting the light into 1,000 tiny rainbows. The air here felt sharper, crisper, carrying a faint sound like the distant ringing of crystal bells. When the princesses entered, their gowns shimmered with reflected colors, as though they had stepped into a hall of mirrors. The soldier reached for a diamond leaf, its surface smooth and cold against his skin. As it broke free, the sound it made was sharper still, a bright, clear tone that cut through the stillness like glass being struck. The youngest princess spun around. "I know we are not alone," she whispered fiercely. Her eyes searched the space between the trees, but the soldier was already hidden deep in the cloak's shadow. The eldest only took her sister's arm. "Then stay close to me. The princess will keep us safe." And with that, they left the last of the diamond grove behind. The soldier tucked his 3 treasures close, silver, gold, and diamond, and followed them toward the faint sound of water ahead. The last glimmer of diamond leaves faded into the cool, open air. The soldier followed the princesses down a gentle slope, the sound of water growing louder with each step until the trees parted to reveal a sight that seemed carved from a dream. Before them stretched a great lake, still and dark as polished glass. The moonlight lay upon it like silver silk, broken only by the faint ripples from the shore. Along that shore waited 12 slender boats, each one painted with bright colors that caught the moonlight, crimson, deep blue, emerald, and gold. Their hulls gleamed as though freshly polished, and their prows curved upward like the necks of swans. In each boat stood a young man, tall, handsome, dressed in fine garments that shimmered in the night. Their eyes lit up as the princesses approached, and they bowed with a grace that spoke of long practice. Without a word, each princess stepped into her prince's boat. The water rocked gently under their weight, the moon's reflection breaking and reforming in delicate shivers. The soldier, moving unseen beneath his cloak, slipped quietly into the boat with the youngest princess. She hesitated, a faint crease between her brows as she looked down at the floorboards beneath her feet. "Strange," she murmured to her prince. "The boat feels heavier tonight." The young man only smiled, taking up the oars. "I row, as I always do," he said lightly, though his strokes came slower than before, his shoulders working harder against the water. The journey across the lake was silent, up for the dip and splash of the oars. The soldier felt the boat sway gently beneath him, the cool spray of the lake touching his face. The air was filled with a faint sweetness, as though the water carried the scent of flowers that bloomed only at night. Halfway across, he glanced over the rippling surface toward the far shore, and there it was, a castle of light, rising from the darkness like a vision. Its towers glowed with warm gold, and from its many windows spilled the sound of music, bright and full. The melody carried on the night air. Horns and trumpets played in harmony, and beneath it all came the rhythmic beat of drums, steady as a heartbeat. The youngest princess leaned forward eagerly despite her unease, her eyes brightening at the sight. "Almost there," she whispered, more to herself than to anyone else. The soldier said nothing, his gaze fixed on the glowing halls ahead. Whatever secret the king's daughters kept, its heart waited there across the last stretch of silver water. The oars touched the shore with a gentle scrape, and the boats rocked softly as the princesses stepped onto the landing. The soldier followed, silent as shadow, his cloak hiding even the sound of his boots against a smooth stone. Before them rose the great castle, not the king's castle above ground, but one that seemed woven from moonlight and gold. Its tall windows blazed with warm light, spilling onto the marble steps and soft pools that shimmered under the night sky. The air here was warm, carrying the scent of roses and something sweeter still, a fragrance like honey drifting from unseen gardens. The doors stood open, wide and welcoming, their great frames carved with patterns of vines and flowers that seemed almost alive in the flickering torchlight. From within came the music, horns and trumpets calling out in joy, the low hum of strings weaving between them and the deep, steady beat of drums. The princesses entered in the line, the gowns catching the glow of chandeliers that hung like constellations above. The marble floor beneath their feet gleamed so brightly, it seemed to hold its own light, reflecting the swirl of colors from their dresses. At the far end of the grand hall stood 12 young princes, their eyes alight, their hands outstretched in greeting. With practiced grace, each princess went to her partner, and, without a word, the dancing began. The soldier moved among them unseen, the folds of his cloak brushing against the rush of skirts, the sharp click of slippers striking marble. He watched, the steps, swift, fluid, filled with a joy that was almost feverish. The music rose and fell, faster and faster, as though time here was measured only in beats and turns. When a servant brought trays of wine and cups of gold and crystal, the soldier moved quickly. Each time a princess set her drink down, he tipped the cup to his lips, emptying it in a single, silent swallow. When she reached for it again, finding it gone, the youngest sister's eyes would widen with quiet fear, but the eldest only smiled, urging her back into the dance. On and on they danced through one song, then another, the floor echoing with their steps until the moon began to lean toward morning. The soldier could feel the air grow warmer, heavier, the music slowing at last. By then, the fine silk slippers on each princess's feet were thin and frayed, slither-worn almost to nothing. Still, they danced until the very last note faded. Only then did they take the prince's hands one final time. Bowing low in parting, the soldier followed them out into the warm night air, the sound of the music lingering in the glow of the castle behind them. Ahead lay the lake once more, the boats waiting like patient shadows to carry them back. The night air beyond the castle was cooler, touched with the faint scent of the lake. The music faded behind them, replaced by the soft lap of water against stone. The 12 boats waited just as they had before, each prince stepping forward to guide his princess back to her place. The soldier followed closely, seeing, and this time he slipped into the boat with the eldest princess. She took her seat, gracefully, her slippers worn so thin the pale skin of her heels showed through. The prince beside her dipped the oars into the water, his movements strong and practiced, though the boat seemed to resist him as it had with the youngest before. Across the lake, they rowed in near silence, the moonlight gliding over the dark water like a silver hand. The soldier sat perfectly still, listening to the small creak of wood, the steady rhythm of the oars, and the occasional murmur between princess and prince. It felt as though the world beyond this place no longer existed. Only the lake, the boats, and the path back to the hidden stairs. At last, the shore appeared, pale in the early hint of dawn. The princess helped the princesses step onto the smooth stones, their farewells brief but filled with unspoken promise. One by one, the boats pushed back into the mist and were gone. The soldier moved ahead quickly, his cloak sweeping close around him. He slipped past the line of princesses as they began the slow climb up the winding stair, their steps heavier now, their laughter softened into quiet murmurs. By the time they reached their chamber door, he was already lying on his bed in the outer room, his breathing deep and even, the perfect image of a man who had slept through the night. The eldest glanced toward him once before turning away. "All is well," she whispered to her sisters, and with that, they undressed, set aside their ruined slippers, cool, and lay down in their own beds. The castle above them was waking, the first pale light of morning touching its towers, cool. But here, behind closed doors, the mystery remained, at least, for now. The day passed quietly in the castle. From the windows of his chamber, the soldier watched the sun move across the sky, gilding the rooftops and casting long shadows across the courtyard. Servants went about their work, as they always did, and the princesses appeared at the king's side for the midday meal, their faces serene, their voices light with polite conversation. No sign betrayed the secret hours they had spent in the underground hall of music and light. But as evening drew near, a shift came over the air. The shadows grew deeper in the corridors, the torches flickering to life with a warm, dancing glow, and somewhere far above, the faint call of a bell marked the hour when the castle began to settle into night. The soldier prepared himself as he had before. Lying on a bed in the outer chamber, he kept his breathing slow and even, his body relaxed, his mind sharp. Soon, the soft sound of slippers on the stone floor reached his ears. The eldest princess entered once again, carrying the silver cup of wine. Her expression was unchanged, calm, gracious, with just the hint of a smile. "This will steady you for the night ahead," she said, as if the outcome were already decided. The soldier accepted the cup with a small nod, but when she turned away, the rich red wine slipped silently onto the rug, vanishing into its deep threads. Not a drop touched his lips. When she returned to her sisters, he began his steady, practiced snore. And again, the same quiet laughter rose from the grand chamber beyond. "He sleeps," said the eldest. And they began drawers opened. Silk gowns whispered over the floor. Jewels caught the candlelight like fragments of captured stars. Only the youngest hesitated, glancing toward the outer room with a frown. But the others pressed her on, and soon they stood ready. The eldest clapped her hands. The bed sank. The hidden trapdoor yawned open. The soldier, now cloaked in invisibility, followed them down the winding stair. The silver grove awaited, its leaves chiming softly in the night breeze. He took another branch, the deep chime ringing out once more. The youngest froze, eyes darting into the shadows. "There it is again," she whispered. The eldest only smiled. "You imagine too much." Through silver and gold and diamond groves, they passed again, the soldier taking his proofs as before. And soon the lake spread before them, the boats waiting, the princess ready. This time, he stepped into the boat with the youngest princess again, and once more the oarsman's strokes came heavier, slower. Her unease grew, but the music waiting in the castle beyond drew her forward. The night was a mirror of the last, the grand hall, the dancing, the golden cups emptied by unseen hands. The music winding on until the first threads of dawn began to weave through the windows. When the boats returned them to the far shore, the soldier was already making his way ahead, climbing the stairs unseen. By the time they reached their chamber, he lay in his bed, the faintest smile hidden beneath the rhythm of his false sleep. The third day passed with the same quiet grace as the two before it. From the outside, nothing had changed. The princesses laughed in the gardens, the king held his court, and the castle hummed with the calm rhythm of daily life. But for the soldier, this day carried a different weight. He knew it was the final night, the last chance to gather proof, the last step before the truth would be spoken aloud. By morning, the mystery that had claimed so many lives would belong to him alone. When evening came, the golden light faded from the halls, and the torches flared against the deepening blue of the sky. The eldest princess arrived once again with her silver cup, her steps as smooth as ever. "This is your last night," she said softly, as if speaking to herself. Her eyes lingered on him for the briefest moment before she placed the cup in his hands. The soldier held it as before, letting the rich wine slip silently to the carpet, and began his slow, even snore the moment she left. Beyond the door, the same ritual unfolded. Drawers opened, silks and jewels were drawn from their places, the air filled with the faint perfume of flowers and a sparkle of gemstones catching the candlelight. The youngest princess's unease was stronger now. She glanced toward the outer chamber more than once, her lips parting as if to speak, but each time the eldest light laughs silenced her. Once more the bed sank into the floor, and the cool breath of the hidden stair rose to meet them. The soldier followed, invisible, down into the silver grove. Its leaves whispered as before, but tonight he did not take a branch. His proof from here was already in hand. Through the gold grove and the diamond grove they passed, the moonlight spilling over their path like a river of pale fire. At last, the lake appeared, still and waiting. The 12 boats lined like sentinels along the shore. The soldier stepped into the boat with the eldest princess this time, sitting so still the oarsman never knew he was there. The boat moved slowly, more heavily than usual, though neither princess nor prince remarked on it aloud. The castle ahead glowed even brighter tonight, its windows spilling gold across the dark waters. Inside, the music swept them into the grand hall, and the dancing began once more. But tonight, as the soldier moved unseen among them, he waited for his moment. When a servant passed with a tray of golden cups filled to the brim with wine, he reached for one and closed his hand around it. Its surface was warm from the touch of many hands, its weight a solid promise of proof. He lifted it under the cloak, unseen, and held it close for the rest of the night. The dancing went on until the first pale edge of dawn brushed the sky. Shoes worn thin, steps slowed, farewells spoken. Back across the lake they went, the soldier carrying the golden cup beneath the folds of his cloak. By the time the princesses reached their beds, he was lying in his faintest smile, hidden in the rhythm of his breathing. Tomorrow, the king would have his answer. Morning came softly, with pale light spilling across the castle's stone courtyards. The air was cool and still, as if the world itself were holding its breath. Today, the king would hear the soldier's answer. And, for the first time in many years, the mystery that had haunted the palace might be broken. The soldier rose early, dressing not in the fine robes the king had given him, but in his own garments, simple, worn, yet neat. From within the folds of his pack, he took the treasures he had gathered, a silver branch whose leaves chimed like tiny bells when touched, a golden branch warm to the hand, a diamond branch scattering light like water, and the golden cup from the underground hall. When the hour came, he was summoned to the throne room. The great doors opened, and sunlight streamed through the high windows, casting long beams across the polished floor. The king sat upon his throne, his eyes steady and searching. Beside him stood his counselors, silent and watchful. Behind the farthest column, the 12 princesses waited. They stood close together, their heads inclined toward one another, listening. Their expressions were unreadable, some calm, some tense. Only the youngest seemed uneasy, her gaze flicking toward the soldier before darting away. The king's voice broke the silence. You have kept watch for 3 nights. Tell me, where do my daughters go, and what do they do? The soldier stepped forward, his voice steady. They go through a hidden passage beneath their chamber. First to a grove of silver trees, then to a grove of gold, and then to a grove of diamonds. Beyond lies a great lake, where 12 princes wait with boats to carry them across. And on the other side stands a castle of light and music, where they dance until their shoes are worn through. As he spoke, he laid each treasure before the throne. Silver, gold, diamond, their beauty undeniable. And finally, he set down the golden cup, its polished surface reflecting the sunlight in a warm glow. The king looked to his daughters. What he says, is it true? The eldest raised her chin, meeting her father's eyes. It is, she said at last, her voice low but clear. The other princesses exchanged glances, and one by one they nodded. A ripple of quiet passed through the court. The mystery was ended. The great hall was still. Only the quiet rustle of silk broke the silence as the 12 princesses stepped forward. From the shadow of the columns, they moved as one, their slippers whispering over the polished floor. The morning light softening the colors of their gowns. The eldest stopped before the throne, bowing her head. When she lifted it again, her voice carried clearly through the vast chamber. Yes, Father, all that he has said is true. The king's eyes searched hers, but his voice was calm. Why keep such a secret from me, from your own family? The eldest glanced back at her sisters, and one by one they lowered their eyes. When she spoke again, her tone was softer, touched with something between pride and sadness. It began long ago, as a game, a hidden passage we discovered by chance. The silver trees and the golden groves felt like another world, untouched by the rules of this one. And there were princes there who welcomed us with music and joy. It was never meant to be cruel, Father, only our own secret place where the night belonged to us. The youngest, who had been silent until now, stepped forward. Her voice trembled slightly. I wanted to tell you many times, but the other said the magic might fade if the secret was spoken. And I did not want to lose them, or the dancing, or the light in their faces when the music began. The king listened without interruption, his expression unreadable. They had finished. He looked to the soldier. And it was you who broke this secret without falling to the spell that took so many before you. The soldier bowed with the help of a cloak, and the wisdom of one who knew the way. The king sat back slowly, the hall still hushed, as though it too awaited his judgment. The king sat in silence for a long while, his gaze moving between the soldier and his 12 daughters. Sunlight streamed down through the high windows, pooling in bright gold across the marble floor, catching on the silver, gold, and diamond branches that lay between them. The golden cup glowed warmly, as though it still held the light of the enchanted castle far below. When at last the king spoke, his voice was steady but carried the weight of decision. "You have done what no other could," he said to the soldier. "You have faced temptation and kept your wits. You have followed my daughters through their secret path, and you have returned to tell me the truth. As I promised, your reward shall be as great as the risk you took. You may choose any of my daughters for your bride, and in time, when my reign ends, the crown of this kingdom will be yours." The words hung in the air, as if the very stones of the hall were listening. The 12 princesses stood side by side, their faces serene, though in some eyes there was curiosity, and in others something like apprehension. The youngest gaze was lowered, her hands clasped before her. The eldest met the soldier's eyes without flinching. The soldier took a slow breath. He was not a young man. His face carried the lines of years and travel, his hands the scars of battle. He had seen joy and sorrow, loyalty and betrayal, and he knew that beauty alone was not enough to guide such a choice. His eyes moved along the line of princesses, lingering for a moment on each, and then, without hesitation, he bowed his head toward the eldest. "I am not young," he said simply, "and I have lived too many years to match the steps of youth for long. It is the eldest I choose, for she carries the same sense of duty. I have known, in the steadiness, to walk beside me when the crown becomes ours." The eldest princess inclined her head in acknowledgement, her expression calm but unreadable. There was no gasp from the court, no murmur of surprise, only a deep, quiet stillness as the choice settled into place, like a stone in clear water. The king's face softened. "So be it," he said. "Then you shall be wed before the day ends." The words seemed to echo gently through the hall, sealing a decision that would change the course of each life in the room. The castle awoke to the news. Before the morning had fully ripened into day, messengers moved through the halls, their footsteps soft but quick, carrying the king's command. By evening, there would be a wedding. Servants hurried to prepare the great hall, their hands busy, but their voices hushed, as though the weight of the occasion demanded reverence over celebration. Garlands of fresh flowers were hung along the walls, roses, lilies, trailing ivy woven together until their fragrance drifted through every corner. Candles were set in tall, golden stands, their flames dancing gently in the morning air. The soldier stood at a high window for a long time, looking out over the courtyard where the fountain played its endless song. His clothes had been brushed and mended, his boots polished until they caught the light. Though the crown was still far in his future, he felt the shape of it already, not as a burden, but as a weight he was prepared to carry. The eldest princess, prepared in her own quiet way. Her gown was a soft ivory silk, its edges embroidered with threads of silver. Her hair was gathered in a simple crown braid, set with a few pearls that caught the light when she moved. There was no trace of the secret nights in her expression now, only a calm acceptance, and perhaps the faintest glimmer of curiosity for the road ahead. By the time the sun began to set, the great hall was alive with the golden light of hundreds of candles. Guests filled the long tables, their voices low as they waited. The king sat at the head, his face composed but softened by pride. The soldier entered first, his step steady, his gaze clear. Then came the eldest princess, her gown whispering over the stone floor as she crossed the length of the hall. When she reached him, they turned to face the king, who spoke the words that bound their lives together. No music from the underground hall played here, only the deep, warm voices of the court, the gentle clink of cups raised in blessing, and the soft rustle of the gathered crowd. When the ceremony was done, the soldier and the princess sat side by side at the high table. The feast began, but for the two of them, the moment felt suspended, the start of something new, born from secrets and endings. Far above, the night sky opened, scattering stars across its velvet dark. And though no one spoke of it aloud, there was a quiet understanding that the nights of hidden dancing were over, and the kingdom had entered a different kind of story. The days after the wedding passed quietly. The castle, once filled with whispers about worn slippers and strange magic, now felt lighter, as though a long-held breath had been released. The secret was no longer a shadow in the halls. It had been spoken, understood, and set aside. The 12 princesses continued their lives, but the rhythm had changed. There were no more hurried glances toward the clock as night fell, no more careful steps toward a bed that would sink away into hidden stairways. The silver, gold, and diamond groves beneath the earth lay silent now, their leaves unmoving in air that no longer carried the sound of footsteps. Sometimes, the eldest princess would stand on a high balcony beside the soldier, now her husband, Kate, and look out toward the distant hills. She would think of the moonlit lake, the gleaming castle, and the endless music that had once carried them through the night. There was a kind of fondness in the memory, but no longing. Time for such things had passed, replaced by a different kind of life, one not built on secrecy, but on steadiness. The soldier, for his part, rarely spoke of the nights he had followed them. The silver, gold, and diamond branches remained in the royal treasury, their chiming leaves now only a faint echo of the night winds underground. The golden cup stood in a place of honor, catching the light from the windows each morning, its surface warm and bright. As the seasons turned, the old king grew slower, his steps shorter, but the kingdom was at peace, and the people whispered with approval of the man who would one day wear the crown. The soldier who had walked into the unknown and returned with truth in his hands. And far beneath the castle, in the silent halls of silver and gold, the groves waited in stillness. The moonlight no longer touched their leaves, and the music was gone. Only the quiet remained, deep and unbroken, as if the earth itself had gone to sleep. The dance had ended, but its story lingered in memory, in the hearts of those who had lived it, and in the quiet understanding that some mysteries are meant to be solved, so they may finally rest. The seasons passed gently over the kingdom. Spring came with its soft rains, turning the fields a tender green. Summer followed with long golden days and the hum of bees in the gardens. Autumn laid its tapestry of red and amber leaves over the hills, and winter wrapped the land in white silence. Through them all, the castle stood as it had for generations, high walls catching the sun by day, tall windows reflecting the moon by night. The people within its walls lived in a calm, unhurried rhythm, untouched by the strange magic that had once stirred beneath their feet. On some nights, when the moon was full and the air was clear, the eldest princess, now queen in all but name, would walk the quiet balconies with a soldier at her side. They would speak little, their steps in easy harmony, the cool air carrying the scent of distant pines and the soft rush of the river below. The world seemed to pause in those moments, the castle bathed in silver light, the gardens sleeping under the stars far below. Deep in the earth where the hidden stair once opened, the silver grove stood in perfect stillness. Its leaves no longer chimed with passing footsteps. The air there was cool and undisturbed. The golden grove glowed faintly in its eternal light, untouched for so long that the grass beneath the trees had grown tall. And in the diamond grove, the rainbow reflections lay across the ground like frozen fragments of a dream. The lake, too, waited in silence. The boats were gone, the water unbroken except for the occasional ripple of a fish rising to the surface. The enchanted castle on the far shore stood empty, its windows dark. Its music faded into the memory of the stones. It was as if that other world had closed its eyes and drifted into slumber, content to rest now that its secret was known above ground. Life continued, meals shared in the great hall, festivals held in the courtyard, the laughter of children echoing through the corridors. The old king's steps grew slower still, but his smile came easily when he saw the soldier and his daughter walking together, speaking in quiet voices, and always the moon returned. Night after night, it rose over the castle and poured its light across the land, touching rooftops, rivers, and roads with a silver hand. It lingered on the high towers, shone through the windows of the royal chambers, and glinted faintly on the golden cup resting in the treasury. In the peace of those nights, the kingdom slept deeply, the kind of sleep that feels as though it might last forever. Safe, untroubled, and still, night settles over the land like a gentle blanket. The last traces of daylight fade beyond the hills, and the first stars begin to bloom in the velvet sky. The air cools, carrying the faint scent of flowers that have closed their petals until morning. In the castle, the corridors are quiet. Torches burn low in their brackets, their flames swaying lazily. The great hall is empty now, its long tables cleared. The last echoes of the day's voices faded into the walls. From the kitchens to the towers, every window glows faintly for a moment, and then, one by one, the lights go out. The queen rests in her chamber, the soldier king beside her, both breathing slow, and even in the hush of night, the old king sleeps deeply, his dreams peaceful. Even the guards at their posts lean against the cool stone, lulled by the rhythm of the hours. Beyond the castle, the gardens sleep under a soft wash of moonlight. The fountain whispers to itself, its water catching the silver glow as it falls into the still pool below. The orchard trees stand like quiet sentinels, their leaves stirring only when the gentlest breeze passes, far below the earth. The groves remain untouched, silver leaves hanging motionless, gold branches gleaming in the dark, diamond leaves scattering tiny rainbows in the silence. The lake lies still, reflecting the moon perfectly, as though nothing has ever disturbed it. The empty castle on its far shore waits in endless quiet, its windows dark, its music gone. Time moves slowly here. The moon drifts across the sky. The stars watch from their ancient places. And the whole kingdom breathes in unison, safe in the deep cradle of night. Somewhere, far away, another story waits to be told. But not tonight. Tonight, there is only the quiet. Only the soft hum of the earth beneath you. Only the endless sky above, and the gentle pool of sleep, drawing you deeper and deeper until the world fades completely. The years moved gently over the kingdom, like a river, smoothing the stones beneath it. Seasons came and went, each leaving their quiet mark. New faces appeared in the castle halls, and some of the old ones faded from view. Their names carried only in memory and in the stories told by firelight. The soldier king's hair grew silver at the temples, his step slower but still steady. The queen's eyes held the same calm grace, though lines had begun to trace the edges of her smile. Together, they ruled with patience, not the urgency of youth, the quiet certainty of those who have walked through both shadow and light. The princesses, one by one, found paths of their own. Some married princes from distant lands, some remained in the kingdom, tending to its people, its gardens, and its great libraries. The youngest, whose unease had once tugged at the edges of the secret nights, often walked the castle grounds at twilight, her thoughts as private as the first stars in the sky. The underground groves were spoken of less and less. For most, they became a story, part truth, part dream, told to children as they curled under blankets, their eyes wide in the flicker of the hearth. But for those who had seen them, the memory remained, the silver leaves chiming in the wind, the golden glow beneath the branches, the rainbow spark of diamond leaves scattering light like spilled gems. Sometimes, when the moon was bright and the air still, the queen would pause at the highest balcony, her gaze drawn to the horizon. The lake could not be seen from here, but in her mind, she could almost hear the soft dip of oars, the music drifting over the water, the sound of silk skirts brushing marble, and then the memory would fade, placed by the present, the quiet hum of her kingdom asleep, the steady warmth of her husband's hand in hers, and the peace of knowing that some chapters are meant to end, so that others may begin. Night has settled once more over the land. The hills lie in shadow, their curves softened by the silver wash of moonlight. The valley's thin veils of mist drift slowly, curling between the trees, as if the earth itself were breathing. The castle stands quiet and still, its high towers touching the edge of the sky. Windows glow faintly here and there, but most are dark, the chambers within wrapped in rest. From the highest balcony, the world seems endless, a patchwork of forest and meadow, river and stone, all bathed in the same gentle light. The gardens below are heavy with the scent of night-blooming flowers. The fountain murmurs to itself, each drop of water catching the moon like a fragment of glass before falling softly into the pool. The leaves of the orchard trees turn slowly in the breeze, whispering in a language only the wind understands. Beyond the castle walls, the fields lie open, silvered by the moon. The road that leads into the distance is empty, winding its way between hedgerows and over gentle hills until it fades from sight. No footsteps sound upon it tonight, only the hush of grass bending beneath the wind. Somewhere deep below, far beyond reach, the silver, gold, and diamond groves sleep in their hidden hall. The lake is still, the air unmoving, the castle on its far shore silent and dark. Time has stopped there, holding that place in an eternal night that no longer calls to anyone above it all. The moon drifts slowly westward, its light falling evenly over the waking and the sleeping alike. It will set, as it always does, and the sun will rise to paint the land in gold again. But for now, there is only this moment, only this quiet, only the steady breath of the world as it turns beneath the sky. And under that quiet sky, the kingdom sleeps. The kingdom sleeps. The castle walls are wrapped in stillness, the stones warm with the memory of the day's sun. The moon drapes its silver light over the towers, the gardens, the quiet fields beyond. In the courtyard, the fountain whispers without end, each drop of water finding its way home. The orchard trees sway gently, their leaves brushing together in the soft language of the night. Somewhere far away, an owl calls, its voice low and slow, fading into the silence. Beyond the walls, the road winds into the hills, pale in the moonlight. It leads past sleeping farms, quiet meadows, and forests that dream in shadows. No footsteps stir along its path, only the wind, only the turning of the earth. The silver grove waits. The gold grove glows faintly in memory. The diamond grove holds its frozen rainbows in the dark. The lake is still, the far castle silent. Time itself has laid down to rest there. Above it all, the stars shine, patient and unmoving. The moon drifts slowly westward, watching over the land. And the night holds and holds and holds. The kingdom sleeps. The air is cool. The sky is wide. The world is quiet. You could walk through these gardens forever, following the sound, of the fountain, you could wander the moonlit fields, the silver light on your shoulders. You could listen to the soft wind in the trees, the hush of the grass, the breath of the earth. The kingdom sleeps. And so do you, deeper and deeper and deeper, until there is nothing but the night, and the night never ends. The story is told, the halls are quiet, the voices have faded, and the footsteps are gone. The castle sleeps beneath the slow turning of the night sky. The moon has passed beyond the towers, its light now spilling across the distant hills. The stars keep their watch, silent and steady, their faint glow stretching across the dark. The gardens are still. The flowers rest in the cool air, their scent drifting like a soft memory. The fountain's song is the only sound, each note falling gently, endlessly into the pool below. Beyond the walls, the fields roll away into shadow. The road lies empty, winding between hedgerows, waiting for some distant traveler who will not come tonight. In the forest, the trees stand tall and unmoving, their leaves whispering in dreams. Far below the ground, the hidden groves remain untouched. The silver leaves do not chime. The gold leaves do not glow. The diamond leaves hold their light within, as though saving it for a day that will never come. The lake sleeps too, its surface unbroken. The far castle on its shore locked in perfect stillness. The kingdom breathes in quiet harmony. The earth turns. The night holds steady. And here, at the end of the story, there is nothing to do, nothing to seek, nothing to remember, only rest, only peace, only the slow, endless drift into dreams. And in those dreams, the kingdom sleeps on. The night is wide and quiet. A cool breeze drifts through the gardens, brushing over the grass and stirring the soft edges of the flowers. The fountain whispers, each drop of water falling in a steady rhythm, a lullaby older than the castle itself. Somewhere, in the distance, a stream moves over smooth stones, its voice blending with the faint rustle of the orchard leaves. The trees stand as silent guardians, their branches swaying gently, their roots deep in the cool earth. Overhead, the sky is a dark, endless ocean. The stars shine like lanterns in the deep, their light crossing centuries to reach the sleeping kingdom. The moon moves slowly, casting silver light over towers and rooftops, over the winding road that disappears into the hills. The air is filled with the sounds of the night, the soft chirp of crickets, the low call of an owl somewhere far away, the faint sigh of the wind against the stone walls. Each sound is gentle, unhurried, and it wraps itself around you like a blanket. There is no rush here, no urgency. It's only the rhythm of the world at rest. You could walk the garden paths forever, following the curve of moonlight across the ground. You could stand at the balcony and listen to the fountain's song until the stars fade. You could let the night carry you deeper and deeper till you are part of it. The kingdom sleeps. The night holds you. And the sound never ends. Breathe in. The night air is cool and clean. It fills the lungs slowly, gently. Breathe out. The warmth leaves with the breath, melting into the quiet dot above. The stars hold their places. Below, the gardens rest. The fountain whispers, the water folding into itself again and again. Breathe in. The scent of the flowers drifts through the air, soft and faint. Breathe out. The sound of the leaves sways with the wind, steady and calm. The road beyond the castle is empty. The fields are still. The forests sleep. The hills rise and fall under the silver touch of the moon. Breathe in. The cool air gathers. Breathe out. The stillness deepens. The kingdom breathes with you. The earth turns slowly beneath you. The sky is wide above you, and you are part of it. Safe, still, drifting. Breathe in, breathe out, till the night and your dreams become one. The kingdom sleeps. The gardens rest, beneath the moon. The fountain whispers. The leaves sway. The stars watch. You breathe in, you breathe out. The night holds you. The kingdom sleeps. The gardens rest beneath the moon. The fountain whispers. The leaves sway. The stars watch. You breathe in, you breathe out. The night holds you. The kingdom sleeps and sleeps and sleeps. The night is deep now. The moon hangs low over the horizon. Its silver light stretched thin, as if it too is growing tired. The stars remain quiet and patient, each one a tiny lantern in the endless dark. The castle lies in perfect stillness. Its high towers are pale. In the moonlight, its windows dark, its walls wrapped in the hush of slumber. The gardens sleep below, their flowers closing tightly against the cool air, their fragrance soft and fading. The fountain's voice is low now, each drop of water falling with a slower rhythm, like the heartbeat of the night itself. Beyond the walls, the fields roll away into shadow. The road winds through them, empty and waiting, disappearing into the hills where mist curls like smoke in the moonlight. The forest stands silent, its trees dark shapes against the sky, their branches swaying in a slow, ancient dance. Far beneath the earth, the hidden groves remain untouched. The silver leaves hang without a sound, so gold branches glow faintly in the stillness. The diamond leaves scatter a frozen rainbow on the dark ground, a beauty no eyes will see again. The lake lies still as glass, the fog castle a silhouette in the eternal night. It is a place outside of time now, a memory locked away, safe and undisturbed in the royal chambers. The queen breathes evenly beside her husband. The old king sleeps in the next room, his dreams calm. The people of the kingdom rest in their homes, their hearts untroubled, their futures safe. The moon lowers further, touching the edge of the hills. Its light thins until it is only a pale silver trace along the stone walls. Soon it will slip away entirely, leaving the land in the soft embrace of pre-dawn. And still, the night holds, the gardens rest, the fountain whispers, the stars keep watch. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to seek. It's only the peace of the moment, the steady breath of the world, and the quiet pull of dreams. The last light of the moon fades, so the kingdom sleeps on. So do you.